Hi, we're back for part 3. Yes, part 3. Sorry, there was like a motorcycle outside.
Yeah, you can hear everything in this house.
Yeah. Oh, so if there's any weird sounds, like, and we don't say something about it, it was just a cat or a house or a boy, or But where we left off, we're just kind of picking up from there. You were talking about the renovations at your grandparents' house. If you want to kind of pick up.
Yeah. So, we had all that weird stuff happening, and then we moved out. My grandparents moved back in, and they started renovating the house. And after they got done doing that, the whole vibe in the house kind of changed. It didn't feel dark and heavy anymore like it used to. And I can't tell you like how old that house is, but I believe it was built in the 70s, I want to say.
Okay.
70s or 80s. So, I mean, it was a pretty old house, and it didn't, I mean, it never changed, you know what I mean? Like, This was the first time that they had built onto it.
Yeah, and, like, they had lived in that house since as long as I can remember.
Oh, yeah.
And, like, I'm, like, 29.
Yeah.
So, like, they've lived there at least that long, if not longer. Which I think they have, because there's a lot of pictures from, like, when my mom was in high school that they were in that house still.
Yeah. I want to say, because, my aunt and my mom both attended Morris High, I want to say. So, when they were in high school, they were living there.
Okay, so, yeah. So.
But, yeah, so a few years went on, and, like, nothing really happened in the house. It was pretty chill. And then my grandma got really sick back in 2017.
Oh, wow.
She was in the hospital for a few months, and then she went into, like, a nursing home, but not, like, permanent staying there.
Yeah,
just
like a rehab.
Yeah. But she ended up going into hospice after a few weeks. Due to some complications and whatnot. So we brought her back home, and we knew it was just a matter of days. Obviously, it's hospice.
Yeah.
But after she passed in the house, so weird stuff started happening again, basically.
Yeah.
It wasn't, at first it wasn't, like, it was weird, but it wasn't dark.
Mm-hmm.
But then, I want to say I started in 2019, so probably 2018, I started working at a new place, at the same place my aunt works.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. So for a little while, I was actually staying at that house again, with my aunt and my grandfather, because I didn't have a vehicle I would just ride in with her, basically.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I would get off work before she did, and my grandpa was out. So I'd be at the house alone. And that's kind of when stuff would get weird. There was a few times, actually, where I would, like, call Gage. Like, I would, like, something weird would happen in the house. And I would be, like, so panicked. I would go and sit out on the patio and call Gage and be like, dude, like, I either need you to come here or I need you to talk me down because something does not feel right.
Yeah.
And the one thing I believe that really sticks out to me, because I think it kind of changed my whole perspective on it, was I was in the bathroom, and that's in the same area of the house where the 2 bedrooms were, where it was like kind of got the weird feeling. That's that side of the house. And I was dyeing my hair. I was just like, I was listening to some music on my phone, dyeing my hair, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I heard a voice which literally sounded like it was right over my shoulder, like right behind me.
Oh, God.
But it kind of, like, had the same inflection, same tone as my grandmother. And went, Hailey?
Oh, my God.
Yeah. But it didn't feel right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was like, it sounded like my grandmother. It sounded like how she would say it. But it didn't have the same...
Like the warmth. Like,
you know
like,
what I mean?
Yeah, like the same, like, kind of reception you would have had it been. Yeah.
Like, it was instant chills.
Oh, God.
And my way of dealing with it is pretend it didn't happen.
That is a good thing to do, especially if you're living there.
React,
no,
you know, and I don't want it to, like... Because then, you know what? It sounds crazy. But, like... I feel like if you react and you give it the reaction that it wants, then it's like you're freaked out.
No, I know exactly what you're saying. Because, like, even, like, let's say, it's just Because, like, you don't know if it is your grandma. And, like, if it is, like, I'm sure she wants a reaction. But she doesn't want, like, a negative reaction.
Yeah.
Like, she'd want you to be like, oh, my God, grandma? Like, you know. But, like, if it's something that's, like, mocking her.
Yeah,
like,
or
it's
trying
gonna,
to, like...
Yeah, it's trying to
imitate.
feed off the fear. So you just have to, like, stone face that shit sometimes.
So I quickly washed my hair dye out. And I went outside and I called Gage and I was like, you know, like, I need to tell someone that this happened.
Yeah.
The thing is, he's probably downstairs thinking that, like, we're absolutely not. First of all, I don't tell him about this stuff normally because he doesn't, like, he's 100% like, does not believe, you know what I mean? So, but I'm like, you know, I know you're gonna think I'm nuts, but I need to say something to someone because this just happened and I'm real spooked. And I was a little bit conflicted because I'm like, it sounded like her. Yeah. And it sounded like the way she would say it, you know what I mean? Like the inflection and everything. But I'm like, I don't think it was her though.
Yeah, it just, like, something about it just felt wrong. Mm-hmm. I just did not feel right. And, like, I think that's, like, another good mind. Like, you don't want to just, like, assume. I've never been in a situation where, like, I mean, I've heard things, but, like, I've never, like, it wasn't really, like, a personal. So,
and that's the thing is, like, it knew my name,
and that's gross.
That's real. That's a little bit. Ugh.
But like in that same token though, like it could have been the thing that's been in there forever, and you live there for a good chunk of your life. Mm-hmm. So,
and I'm like, so it hasn't been around. You know what I mean? It hasn't shown it. You know what I mean? Like it hasn't done anything. So where has it been? Has it just been watching? You know what I mean?
Well, see, that's another thing, because, like, my parents' house, it's fucking haunted. Like, it's not, like, super haunted, but, like, it's definitely, but it's not, like, an everyday thing. Like, I don't even know of anybody who has stuff happen like that every day. Mm-hmm. I mean, because I feel like it's going to take up a lot of energy to, like, do it, whatever. Yeah. So I really do feel like it just kind of sits and, like, waits, like, gross. And the thing of it is, just, I know we're going off on a tangent, but, like, it is a good way to put in what happened to me fucking yesterday.
Oh, good.
So I was just out, taking the dogs out, like, whatever. And my mom... Maybe I wasn't taking the dogs out, but I was outside. I was, like, taking the trash out or something, and she was getting the dogs in the bedroom. That's why she had heard it. Mm-hmm. The bedroom is my bedroom from when I was a kid. I'm staying there right now because, you know, there's a lot going on in my life. Yeah. So she heard, like, a knock on the window, like, a distinct, like, you know what it sounds like when something hits a window. Yeah. It's like doom, doom, doom. Like, you know, like that. Like, kind of like, you know.
Like a purposeful.
You know, it's got that weird... like, I don't know, weird drummy sound to it. Uh-huh. And so she was coming out because she was trying to catch my ass. She thought it was me. And, like, so she came out and, like, I opened the door and she was, like, right there. I'm like, Jesus, because, like, I'm just coming in from doing whatever. And she's like, what's that? What was that? I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, she's like, you weren't just, like, knocking on the window? I was like, no, the dogs are in there. They're going to freak out. Of course not.
Yeah.
And it was outside of the gate, so... if she would have heard me open and close the gate, and there's no trees there anymore. Mm-mm. There's no bushes there, and like the kids, the annoying ass kids next door, they're on vacation. Yeah. So like, even though I don't think they would do that, but like I wouldn't put it past them either. It wasn't anything like that. And then earlier that day, my mom was in the shower. And I was doing, you know, whatever I was doing, like in the kitchen, you know, probably finishing up a cup of coffee, you know, whatever. And like I heard somebody say something. I don't know what it was, but like, you know, when someone's kind of far away and it's like very muffled and like quiet, and you know that they're saying something, but you don't know what they're saying. Yes. That's what it sounded like. Oh. And I was like, well, it definitely wasn't my mom, because if she was in the shower and I'm in the kitchen, you're going to hear her loud ass.
Well, that's kind of, before we started recording this original.
Shut up.
That, when we did the test run, at the beginning of that recording, that sounded like that kind of distant. Like
it was very similar to that, but like it was a little more indistinct. Yeah. So I just, and then I thought like maybe it was like people outside or something, but like I would have seen, like we've got those big windows, exactly, so you can see what's going on. But
well, and I mean, it's obviously not like a trek, but I do feel like it's a little bit of a walk from like your driveway through the gate up to your house.
Yeah,
You know
exactly.
what I mean? Like, the
Like, you
timing would have to be perfect.
Exactly. Like, and even if like especially like with the knocking, like she would have heard me knock, she would have heard me open the gate. Like, that gate is loud.
Yeah.
Like, you can hear it. Like, you might not be able to hear it loudly, but you can hear it shut. Like, because you really do have to like push it shut, or the dogs are gonna. Well, the dog.
The dog, yeah.
Rue is just like, whatever. The other one's like, goodbye. Bye. So, like, you know, you kind of, like, pick up on sounds. And, like I said, there was nothing there to have done that. Unless maybe, like, a bird flew in. But she said it was, like, a tap, tap, tap. Like, you know, like, kind of like
so
a...
if the bird
yeah,
was,
like
burp, burp, burp.
No, I mean, like... So it was kind of harder to, like, explain that kind of thing off. And, like, the voices I tried to, because I'm like, oh, maybe somebody's outside. But, like, how loud would you have to be?
Yeah.
And, like, it's not like I was on, like, the other end of the house, like, by the road in front of the driveway. I was in the middle of the kitchen.
Yeah, exactly.
And if I would have, you know, someone would have been... They would have been across the street on the sidewalk.
Yeah.
And that's, like, the yard, the road, a bit of somebody else's yard, and a sidewalk away. Like, that's... I don't, unless they were like screaming. Yeah. Like, I mean, there's kids, but so I think like in that sort of sense, I don't know. I've never heard of a situation like, you know, maybe like on TV or something, but like I've just never really known of a situation where it's been like a daily thing. It's always been like something happens and then like you're just kind of like, it's almost like it happens long enough to kind of like forget about it.
Yeah, right.
And then just, and then something happens up again. And that's, I don't know, it seems that way. But continue. I'm sorry for the interruption.
Oh, no, you're fine. So, yeah, weird stuff started happening when I was staying there, and it was always when I was alone. So, there's the hot tub room, which you know of.
Yeah.
Which is also, I mean, that was the add-on to the house.
Yeah.
That was a whole nother, like, basically a whole nother, like building.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, like, it's almost like, how a good way to describe it was, like, if you made, like, because they had a detached garage. So a good way to describe it would be, like, if you added, like, a big room hallway to your garage and your house. Yeah. Like, that's the best way to describe, like, kind of like the setup of that.
Yeah. So I'd be like in the hot tub, and then the radio would randomly turn on.
Oh, yeah, and that's not even like close where you could bump it in because it's a radio. You can't have that by the water.
No,
like,
it was on a shelf. Like, on the other side.
And the other side, by like kind of where you walk in, right?
Yeah. Or the radio. It was the radio in the kitchen. Because a lot of the times when I would be there, I would stay in the kitchen area.
Yeah, I mean,
because it's like the first room in the house. It's bright. Yeah. There's the big glass door.
Exactly. So you can see, and I mean, you've got a pretty good view of like maybe not the whole entire house, but like most of the house. Whereas like if you were in the living room, depending on where you're sitting, the only thing you're going to see is a little bit of the kitchen and then like the bathroom area.
Yeah, which is the area you don't want to be.
Yeah, exactly. So this is why the kitchen is best.
So I'd be in there and I'd be like watching TV in the kitchen and the radio in there would turn on. Or there's like a light. It's not a solar light, no. In the kitchen, above the sink, there's like a windowsill. And there'd be a light
that little light in there, yes.
And that would randomly turn on.
Oh.
Yeah, and I'm not the only one. There's actually been a few people that have seen that happen. And the kitchen, or the radio in the kitchen, everyone has seen and heard that. But yeah, so it started with just really small things happening. But I think hearing my name and actually like hearing a tangible voice was the scariest thing.
No, absolutely. And then we will stop there because, like I said, only 15 minutes at a time, and we will pick back up in part 4. We're just breaking her down today. Like, I also feel like the 15-minute parts, while it's not ideal, might be best for people who can only listen for like a little bit at a time.
Yeah.
But show us. Come join us for part 4 here in a minute.